Hello students, today we are going to discuss Kabir's view on socio-religious dogmas. This article would enable the students to understand Kabir's life and time, his views on socio-religious dogmas that were prevalent during his time, Kabir's views on social restructuring, and also we are going to point out some of the limitations in Kabir's social reforms are concerned. So, to start with the introduction, Sant Kabir was one of the eminent thinker, great reformer, and a mystic poet who urged people to recognize human values by ignoring division in societies that are created in the name of religion and caste. His ideas on religion and caste, particularly his emphasis on human values, is something that is worth remembering in these troubled times of strife and chaos, when human beings are divided in the name of caste, color, race, etc. Kabir devoted his life to providing equality, dignity, self-respect, and justice to all people who were blinded by the irrational practices of different religions. Kabir's life abounds in legend. Born in the 14th century, when Delhi and the whole of North India became weak due to unending hostilities between Hindus and Muslims. What was needed was an alternative orientation to spiritual thought. Then came the Bhakti movement with Mirabai, Surdas, Raidas, and others. It is said that Kabir is a product of the Bhakti school. He lived and flourished in Banaras. Most scholars agree with the Kabir Panthis that Nehru, a poor Muslim weaver, and his wife Neema, who founded the infant Kabir on the lotus leaf in Leher Tank in Banaras, brought them up and they lived in the outskirts of Kashi. As a weaver, he was one of the untouchables, a lowest caste in Hindu society, along with other artisans like potters, dyers, etc. As far as the stories of the Hindus are concerned, Kabir was the illegitimate son of a Brahmin widow. Muslims, on the other hand, believe that his parents were Muslims. The theory of his immaculate birth has been rejected by most scholars. Kabir himself declared, "I am neither a Hindu nor a Mussalman." A disciple of the great Hindu preacher and reformer Saint Ramananda, he was the focal point of Bhakti movement and was steeped in Hindu philosophy and obscure practices. He said, "I am a child of Allah and Ram." According to legend, Kabir became the disciple of Ramananda and was a staunch devotee of the Vaishnavite school. He was a great saint philosopher and his orthodox Pandit and religious leader who did not even want to take a look at the people of lower caste. Accordingly, he would not look at the untouchables and would not entertain any low caste to be his disciple. Kabir was a Muslim of no standing. So it was almost impossible for Kabir to earn his discipleship. But Kabir was so enamored from his early age by Saint Ramananda that once in the early pre-dawn twilight, when Ramananda went to the Ganges to take a bath, Kabir lay down in the steps of the river Ghat, and the sage, without knowing or looking, stepped on him, hitting his head with his foot. Startled, he uttered, "Ram, Ram." At this, Kabir silently got up and declared that he was the disciple of great Ramananda. Ramananda's Hindu disciples were much perturbed at this and questioned why their guru had granted such a person discipleship. The guru denied and Kabir was brought in. Habitually, to such person, Ramananda avoided looking at them. He spoke to Kabir from behind a curtain. He asked why Kabir made such a false claim to be his disciple Kabir replied, Sir, I was initiated on the steps of the ghat. You touched my forehead with your foot and gave me the mantra Ram Ram. Through his guru, Kabir is said to have achieved enlightenment at the age of 20. Now we briefly discuss Kabir's teaching. Kabir's work hinted at the fact that he was a true devotee of nonconformity, of all that is free, noble, and challenging in the Indian tradition. The doctrines of bhakti were professed by Ramananda, but it was propagated by Kabir and his followers. Kabir was a Vaishnavite. He was deeply influenced by the Nirguna tradition, and he held high faith and respect for the truth beyond worldly affairs. He described his God as Nirguna. He tried to establish the superiority of bhakti as a path to achieve the Supreme Being. According to him, the easiest way to get close to realizing the truth about God is bhakti. It is the highest sentiment of respect and love. Kabir did not believe in the idea of reincarnation or personal God. He believed in an impersonal God. In simple words, Kabir wanted to reform the society through the religion of bhakti, which may be acceptable to all people of diverse faiths, and in this regard, Kabir's concept of bhakti is very important and relevant to our present day society. Kabir is perhaps one of the most outstanding examples of poet saint who emerged within the context of social disturbances. Historians have painstakingly tried to reconstruct his life and times through a study of compositions attributed to him. Such exercises have proved to be challenging on several counts. The most important being, Kabir was not literate, and therefore, whatever he learned through hearing. Verses ascribed to Kabir have been accumulated by his followers and compiled in three distinct but overlapping traditions. The Kabir Bijak is preserved by the Kabir Panthis. In Varanasi and elsewhere in Uttar Pradesh, the Kabir Granthawali is associated with the Dadu Panth in Rajasthan, and many of his compositions are found in the Adi Granth Sahib. All these manuscript compilation were made after the death of Kabir. By the 19th century, collection of verses attributed to him circulated in print in region as far apart as Bengal, Gujarat, and Maharashtra. Kabir's poems and songs have survived in several languages and dialects, and some are composed in distinct languages of Nirguna poet, the Sant Bhasa. Others, known as Ulta Bhashi, upside down saying, are written in a form in which everyday meaning are reversed. These hint at the difficulties of capturing the nature of ultimate reality in words. Now we will discuss Kabir's socio-religious dogmas as prevalent in his time. Kabir was not just a righteous preacher but also a social reformer. His songs and poems were reflected of his rational and logical self. Words go that once he denied to salute Sikandar Lodi in his court and clearly said that he believed only in one God and hence will bow down to only one king, Lord Ram. Kabir's songs and poetry is written in very simplistic language and hence they can be understood with a very simple approach. Kabir was strictly concerned with society and its well-being. He ruled out the orthodox, religious practices that misguided the interest of the people of the society. He was critical of both Hindus and Muslims for their artificial ways of worship. He declared categorically that only the self of man could free him from the cycle of life and death, and not the artificial ceremonies of prayers in temples and mosques. He said that, tell your beads, paint your forehead with the mark of your God, and wear matted locks, long and showy. But a deadly weapon is in your heart, and how shall you have God? He rhetorically said that if God could be found by worshipping the stone, then he would worship the mountain. He also criticized the Muslims, saying, the mullah cries aloud to him, and why? Is your Lord deaf? The subtle anklets that ring on the feet of insects when it moves are heard by him. He ridiculed that the Hindus died worshipping the deities and the Muslim died going to Hajj. He raised question on the approaches of both Hindus and Muslims. His motive is practical, that is, to express the result of his brilliant experiences so that men abound by ignorance and superstition might know liberation and peace. Throughout Kabir's work, the accent is on interiorization. Man ought to turn his attention away from the exterior world, from all sensible forms, in order to withdraw into the innermost depth of his conscience, where God dwells. His chief focus was on the unity of God with the created world. For this, he did not believe in any hypocritical and artificial ways of practicing rituals in the name of religion. His focus on simplicity and firmly believed that union with God is possible only through mysticism and by being disciplined in life. Equality of humankind was a central theme running through Kabir's poems and dohas. He strictly condemned social cleavages on the basis of caste, creed, religion, color, and race. Kabir was a fervent critic of both Hindu religious practices as well as rituals practiced by the Muslims. Kabir's poetry is written in a very simple manner and therefore can be understood by the lay people without any intellectual augmentation and critical appreciation. It is simply meant for enjoyment and quenching the thirst of soulful music, laden with deep social message. It is a call and invitation for those who are seekers of rational, ethical values. He was strictly against useless, irrational deeds in the name of religion that misguided the common men of the society. He declared very emphatically that only one's self can free himself from the vicious circle of life and death, and not the artificial ceremonies of offering prayers and sacrifices in various religious institutions. Kabir did not believe in the concept of dualism and denied that there can be any existence of the self separated from the God. He is in agreement with the Upanishadic non-dualistic view of God. He feels that everything in the universe is born of Brahma and will eventually merge with Brahma. According to Kabir, God is knowledge, truth, and light, and that which can be attained through devotion and love. He strongly believed that no one can know God by reading the religious scriptures, as God dwells within men. Kabir laments on the ways people try to know God. He says, the Qazi is searching the words of the Quran and instructing others, but if his heart be not steeped in that love, what does he avail, though he be a teacher of men? The yogi dyes his garment with red, but if he knows not of that color of love, what does it avail, though his garment be tinted? Therefore, in Kabir's songs and poems, we find his outright dislike of all institutional religions and external devotions. Thus, for the traditional and orthodox Hindus and Muslims of his time, Kabir was simply a cynic. The simple union of men with the Divine Almighty that was again and again professed by Kabir through his poems and couplets were free from any rituals and other bodily austerities. He pointed out that the God he knew was neither in Kaaba or Kailash. The temples and mosques, scriptures and holy water, the Quran and the Puranas were mere substitutes for realities. Kabir says, there is nothing but water at the holy bathing places, and I know that they are useless, for I have bathed in them. The images are all lifeless, they cannot speak. I know, for I have cried aloud to them. The Purana and the Quran are mere words, lifting up the curtain I have seen. With this, we come to the ideas of Kabir's social restructuring. Apart from Kabir's religious pursuit, his poems and songs also emphasized on the prevalent social stratification in the name of religion, caste, creed, etc. He believed in the equality of all human beings, as Kabir felt that all men were made of same bone and tissue. Hence, there should not be any discrimination between men on the basis of these artificial groupings like color and race. He attacked the Brahmins who discriminated people on the basis of caste. He questioned, if you claim to be Brahmin by birth, born of Brahmani, why were you not born in different fashion? He further asked, do you have milk in your veins while we have blood in ours? If not, how are you a Brahmin and we Sudras? Kabir particularly expressed his dislike for the feudal class of his time who were landlords belonging to the nobility. He ridiculed them for taking pride in the fact that they were born in high class. These people are proud of their riches, their fine bred horses, their elephants, and their lofty palaces. Kabir feels that these were exploitative of people who were responsible for the despair of the poor people. They made the society a living hell by oppressing the people in all possible ways. Kabir also criticized the commercial class for misusing their money by lending it to the poor people at high rate of interest. Therefore, when people were not able to pay the money back, they seized their land and home. Again, apart from inequality, intolerance, and ignorance, the attachment to worldly objects or lust, according to Kabir, is the main reason for the suffering of mankind. People in the society are crazy for recognition, money, power, fame, and sex, which were the main cause of their pain and sufferings. The essence of Kabir's songs and poems, therefore, reflected his dissatisfaction with the society of his time, which was filled with number of social evils. Though he was not a social reformer, through his poems, Kabir tried to teach men to be rational enough so that together an equalitarian society could be established. A society which would not discriminate between men on the basis of fake divisions. Now we come to a discussion of some of the limitations in Kabir as a social reformer. Kabir was not particularly a social revolutionary. His chief concern was to create a society based on equality, a society where men were not divided on the lines of religion, caste, and class. However, during his time, women in the society were faced with a lot of discriminations that were never part of Kabir's songs and dohas. He never talked about the social evils like parda or the practice of sati that the women were faced with. In fact, he seemed to favor the practice of sati in acclamatory terms. He also spoke of parda as a normal practice. The practice of polygamy and child marriage was also never condemned by Kabir. Nonetheless, Kabir's social ideas were greatly influenced by the social condition of his time, a time when women's position in society was quite precarious and no one cared about. Therefore, to conclude, it can be said that Kabir was a sadhak who sang evocative songs in praise of the Almighty and gave voice to the voiceless people. His socio-religious ideas are as relevant today as they were some 600 years ago. The spontaneous expression of his social and religious views, reflected through his poems and couplets, made him a timeless sage poet of all times. Thank you.